Good morning, CBC. Happy Monday. It is May 4th, so may the 4th be with you. Happy Star Wars Day. I'm actually wearing Chewbacca. He's on my shirt right there, see? Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you had a great weekend, and hope you're ready for another awesome week of Bible reading. This week, the rhythm that we're going to be looking at is the rhythm of generosity, and generosity is it's this ability to kind of give back to God because he has given so much to us. So that's what our readings will be on this week, and this morning, our reading comes from Psalm 24. So let's look at that together. Psalm 24, beginning in verse 1. The earth is the Lord's, and everything in it, the world and all who live in it. For he founded it on the seas and established it on the waters. Who may ascend the mountain of the Lord? Who may stand in his holy place? The one who has clean hands and a pure heart, who does not trust in an idol or swear by a false god. They will receive blessing from the Lord and vindication from God their Savior. Such is the generation of those who seek him, who seek your face, God of Jacob. Lift up your heads, you gates. Be lifted up, you ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. Lift up your heads, you gates. Lift them up, you ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. Who is he, this King of glory? The Lord Almighty, he is the King of glory. And so this is the perfect passage to sort of begin this discussion on generosity, because the psalm right at the beginning, it reminds us that everything that there is in the world, everything that there is, all the people, it really all belongs to God, which sort of goes against our nature, right? Because we think of our stuff, like this is my stuff, these are my things, they belong to me. But the psalm says, well, no, like everything belongs to God. And then we really like the idea of like, well, this is my money because I worked for it, I earned it, it is mine. You cannot take it away from me. But even the breath that we have belongs to God. So our ability to work, our ability to labor, our ability to even make money ultimately comes from God. And so everything that we have, everything that we are is ultimately God's. It all belongs to God, which makes a lot of sense then when we look further in the passage. Psalm 20 continues that says that the psalm, it moves the discussion about us being with God and who really truly rests within God's presence. And the psalm says that it's the person who can ascend to the holy place of God, the person who can be with God is the person with clean hands and a pure heart, the person who doesn't bow down to an idol, and the person who doesn't go off chasing false gods. And we might think to ourselves, well, I'm not bowing down to any idols. There's not a cow statue in my house. I'm not bowing down to that. We think I'm not chasing after Anubis, that Egyptian dog-headed god. I'm not chasing after any false gods. But I think the application for us today is that lots of things can be idols. We can chase after lots of different false gods. I mean, if we think about our stuff, if we think about our possessions, have we idolized those things? Have we placed them above God in our heart? Have we turned them into idols? When we think about money and our finances, yeah, it may not be Anubis, the dog-headed god from Egypt, but we may have turned our finances into a false god. We place our trust in those things instead of in God. And the psalm says if we truly want to be with God, if we truly want to receive his blessing, then we cannot let anything get in the way between us and God. And that's challenging because God's not visible, but our stuff is. And so we want to cling to it as tightly as we can. And so it's just a good reminder that even though we want to cling to this stuff, even though we think we can place our trust in it, our hope in it, ultimately, why place our trust? Why believe in something when that something itself belongs to God? Why bow down to a statue of a cow when God owns the cattle of 1,000 hills? Why bow down to all of our stuff and our possessions when it all ultimately belongs to God anyway? And in verse 7, the psalm becomes this chant that probably would have been sung as the Ark of the Covenant was being brought to the tabernacle. Those are the ancient gates. Those are those proclaiming that God is glorious, that God is mighty, that God will take care of us. And so that's kind of the contrast we see here. Placing our hope and our trust and faith in stuff that can't satisfy and ultimately belongs to God anyway. Or just beginning by placing our trust in God himself, the one who does love us, the one who is mighty, the one who can save us. And I think that's an important lesson for this kind of season in life is things are uncertain, We still don't know when shelter-in-place orders are going to be done. I know so many people are struggling with losing jobs or reduced hours. There's a lot of uncertainty. And so we need this lesson. We need this lesson that we can trust in God. And that if we trust in God, then we'll know He'll provide because He is mighty. And I've seen it in my life that generosity, the rhythm of generosity, is the thing that opens us up to being able to trust in God. That rhythm of generosity makes our faith resilient. I've shared a little bit of my story before. I won't get too much into it, but when I first started working at the church, I wasn't very good at tithing and giving back to God. And so Rob called me in his office and said, hey, you got to figure this out. And he'll never do that to you, but he did it to me. And so I figured it out and I started giving back to God regularly, being generous in that way. And then a couple months later, in 2008, when there was kind of the economic downturn, everyone at the church took a 10% pay cut. And as soon as I got that information, I didn't freak out. I wasn't scared because I knew that I'd been trusting God. And if I was trusting God before, then it was going to be easy for me to trust God then. And that trust was unlocked with the key of generosity. I knew that I'd been giving back to God and that God was going to take care of me. Because I'd been giving back to God, because I'd been generous, it helped me to rightly order my priorities and place my trust in God instead of in anything else. And so it's my prayer this week that as we dive into these passages about generosity, that you might explore what this rhythm of generosity could look like in your life and how it could make your faith a little more resilient. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you like these devotionals and the readings delivered to your email inbox, you can sign up for those at findcommunity.com/Bible reading. There's a little form you fill out, and then you will get them delivered to you every morning at 5 o'clock. Hopefully you're not awake then, but if you have screaming kids like we do, then maybe you are. And it can be a little encouragement for you in that moment. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great, great day.